You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma podcast. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode. Excited to share this episode with you today, but before we do, I've got to thank our sponsors. First of all, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. They've been a huge part of this podcast for the last few years. So the Oklahoma Hall of Fame have been sharing Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com. And for daily updates, go to oklahomahof on Instagram and give them a follow. Our other sponsor today is the Chickasaw Nation. Now, the Chickasaw Nation have sponsored pretty much everything in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and it's an honor to have their name and their brand supporting this podcast. So a huge shout out to Governor Anatoby for supporting this podcast. It really means a lot. Our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them. Do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my two pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my two golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. And the one thing that I do with the sponsors that I have is stuff that I use and recommend, like the Diffies with my car, Hall of Fame. They're awesome. Citizens Banks, where I bank. Chickasaw Nation, huge supporter of Oklahoma. And adding to that is the Doghouse. And so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too. But I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC. And hopefully our pups will run into each other. This episode is brought to you by the Oklahoma State Treasurer Unclaimed Property Division. Oklahoma has more than $1 billion of unclaimed property. Reclaim what's rightfully yours. Visit YourMoney.ok.gov and enter your name to find out if you have lost money from utility deposits, uncashed checks, life insurance policies, or more. If you've got a minute, search for free and visit YourMoney.ok.gov. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma. Mike Hearn here, host, back with another episode. Today, we are coming to you from our agency office for the first time. If you haven't jumped and popped into our agency real estate office in Edmond, we're in downtown Edmond. Swing on by. It's a beautiful office. And I will be completely honest, my guest today has already been on the podcast, but we had some technical difficulties and we have to re-record. So it gives me great pleasure to reintroduce to you, or introduce to you the first time, reintroduce to me for the second time, Bonnie Chrisman-Branson to the podcast, who is a 9 times Ironman finisher, 20 plus ultras, won the Route 66 marathon, done the MidSouth 1 billion times. I think on your Instagram it says endurance makes me a better human being.
Yeah.
So
it sure does.
Thank you so much for coming in. We've just been catching up about the, one of the things you said on the podcast, which hasn't gone out, obviously, because we had audio issues, but I think you said that you stay in Ironman shape all year round, which is probably the most impressive thing I heard you say.
I try. It's slacked off a little bit, probably, with especially the bike. Mm-hmm. But since I went, gravel, so that isn't quite as intense as I would like it to be, but...
Why is that?
And the heat.
I mean, the heat, I understand. Why? What makes it different from road to gravel?
I used to ride...
Speed?
Yeah,
exactly.
The triathlon bike, you're on it a whole different way, bent over and almost laying out on it, and it's a whole different... And where the gravel, it's more similar to a road bike, and you're setting up and...
Taking in the scenery more.
Yeah, just more relaxed, and which is kind of what I'm sliding off too. As I get older, you know, it's more of a relaxed vibe. So
before we get into all the endurance stuff, which clearly is a huge part of your life,
it is.
I set some context. Tell me a little bit about kind of like your Oklahoma story, where you're born and raised, and your life before you get into endurance sports.
Yeah. Well, I was born and raised in Oklahoma, northeast Oklahoma, on a dairy farm. That's a whole
hard work right there.
A whole different way of life than it is now.
Yeah.
And I have a couple boys, so it's hard coming from that life and then trying to raise your kids in a similar manner as to what you were raised. I don't know.
Without the kind of opportunity, not the opportunity, but obviously growing up on a dairy farm, you're kind of forced to work hard.
Yes.
Because that's just what you had to do. Whereas they're not.
No.
You don't live on a dairy farm anymore.
No, I don't. And so it's hard to instill those values and work ethic and discipline. And I think that's where I carry a lot of that from into endurance, is from getting that, you know, being raised up that way. So, and then I moved up here from northeastern Oklahoma and went to UCO and then to OU, and then had my boys, and now they're 18 and
yeah,
time's already flown by. So
they're back into school. High school football is big, right, for your kids?
Yes. Mm-hmm. One of them's at Deer Creek, and they just went 6A Division 1.
Okay.
Last year we were 6A Division 2. Mm-hmm. So we're with all the big schools.
Big Oklahoma schools, which is mostly like from what I understand of my limited knowledge of high school football in Oklahoma, it's like Tulsa's big, right? The Tulsa schools is kind of where it's
Jinx,
at.
Bixby, all those. They're huge. They're tough and big boys. So
is he excited?
Yeah, I think all of them. I don't know. I can't speak for all of them. I don't talk to very many of them, but I'm sure they're all a little nervous. You know, it's a huge, even though they've played the big schools, it's a huge jump, you know, so.
That's exciting though, football season, Friday night lights, the whole thing, right? It's going to be great traveling up to, because I know the good thing is going to see their facilities too, and traveling up to the away games are going to be a little different. And
that's true.
Going to different towns. And
I didn't even think about that.
They're a little different up there, right?
Yeah.
It's life for some of them up there.
It is. It definitely is.
So you said you grew up in northeast Oklahoma. You moved to Oklahoma City, went to UCO. What was your plan, kind of, as a young adult, to go to university? What were you thinking you were going to go your career path?
Counseling. I always wanted to do a drug and alcohol counseling and work with youth, and I still might go that way. After I've raised my kids and got them gone, just kind of settle into that But, I was pretty tied up with them. They're 18 months apart, so I wanted to stay home with them. I didn't really use my degrees. Did
you go on to OU to do a master's?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, just a human relations. Mm-hmm. It was just kind of to add to the undergraduate, the counseling. So.
Yeah.
It always helps to get a master's. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, it just sets you apart from anybody going for a job, right? Like it's sometimes in the moment you think, I don't want to go do it back to school for another 2 years, but when you do, and you're thankful that you've done it after, right? Because it sets you apart when you get that job application.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
But anymore, I don't know if trade schools I think are good too.
Oh,
as I look, I never really was given that option in the 90s. It was college. It was just kind of pushed down your throat. But now, more and more, they're kind of pushing the trades, which is good.
There's a huge need for it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like my kid, he's going to go to the welding program there at Francis Tuttle, and I'm just as proud of him if he goes to college,
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's just a different track for everyone,
My dad has been in the trades his entire life, and so I've grown up around that. And
oh, really?
I am not handy at all. Like I can change a light bulb and a tire, and that's about it. My dad can do everything, right? You know, and
mechanical.
Everything, right? And well, I say everything, but he can get by with a lot of things.
Sure.
And so, you know, it's such a value now, right? I think my generation didn't do that. And so, like you said, now there's a huge need for it. And then these trades jobs pay really well.
They do.
And you're going to have a job coming out of school for it.
Exactly.
You know? And so, you know, like I said, he's coming out of school with a job and very little debt, where some people are going to university for a degree they might not use, and then they've got $100,000 in debt.
With a lot of debt.
There is a lot of ways to look at it.
Yes.
I think if I were to go back to school, I'd do a trade.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me
definitely.
too. I would do mechanics. I would like to work on things. Mm-hmm. You know, motors and stuff like that. That's odd, but it would be fun. I had a job like that one time. We put like police cars. We put the lights on them and ran the wires. Of course, I didn't wire the car because I'm not an electrician, but we had to run the wires. And that was so fun to me because I learned so much about, I don't know.
Yeah. So counseling why counseling from a young age?
I don't know.
There sounds like there's a need there that you want to help people.
Yeah, I think, especially just teenagers and helping them just be understood. I probably just coming from my own time as a teenager, feeling misunderstood and you know, partying probably way too much. It just, you know, I was just lucky to have made it out of that little town and up here, because a lot of people didn't, you know. It's just how it is in small towns. And I won't just say Oklahoma, but in all small towns, I'm sure. So might go back and do that eventually. But I've got a lot on my hands with a senior and a junior, and I don't know where I'm going with the whole endurance thing, but it's more of a mental thing with the whole endurance thing, you know. Yeah. What can you make your mind endure type of deal for that, because
it's discovery, right?
Yeah.
Like once you know you've done something, you're like, ooh, I can do this now.
Yeah, well,
what else can I do, right?
I'm really
if you've done
bad
it once.
About not believing in myself.
Oh, I think there's a lot of endurance athletes that do that.
You think so?
I think so too. But I also think there's something in us all, by not quitting, right? Or whatever you want to call that. Like we still go and do it. We still put one foot in front of the other. Sure. And today, a big example. I did not get out of bed early enough to go run this morning before it got hot. And I despise running on a treadmill. And I FaceTimed my family back home earlier, and I was talking, what are you doing today? I'm like, I've got to go work out. I'll just go to the gym, right? And once you walk in the door, once you put the shoes on or get on your bike, and you get through that first, like, initial phase of just, I don't want to do this, and start doing it, that's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
You know, and I'm on the treadmill, and like, I got to do 10 miles today. You know, and I do 1 or 2, and I'm just like, oh, maybe I'll just do 5. And then I get to 5, I'm like, oh, let's just do it. And by the time I got to 7, I was like, okay, and we're doing this, right? But it's always there.
Yeah, and you're going to feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
If you do the whole 10 than if you stop at 7. And it's like, I could have just put 30 more minutes into 3 more miles and felt good about myself for the rest of the day. That's what it is for me. Is how I'm going to feel about myself for the rest of the day. If I bitch out right now and quit, or if I go ahead and finish this run and then I'm going to feel better later. And you probably feel good.
I got home and I was like, I'm really proud of myself.
Yes, that too. Yeah, you're proud of yourself.
Because you know, and it's always the inner demon in you, or inner whatever you want to call it, on, you know, the angel on your shoulder and the devil on the other shoulder. That voice in your head that says, you know, you can't do this. It's fine. Or the voice that says, yeah, you've done enough. You can stop now. Well, no, you said you were going to do this, and your training schedule says you need to run this far, so run this far.
Yes, exactly.
What was your workout today? What did you do today?
Gravel. I just gravel biked 45 or 50 miles, but it got hot there at the end. It was 111 real fuel. So that was bad.
Do you go out and back from the house?
Yeah, I'll go out up to Guthrie. There's a convenience store up there, and it's about 25 miles in, so it's about a halfway point for me. And but usually on the weekends, I do at least 75 to 80. But yesterday I ran long, so I try to mock my MidSouth training. Now I used to always be Ironman training, and now I'm always MidSouth training, because with them you run first, where Ironman you run after. So that was a total switch. So I make my long runs on Saturday and my long bikes on Sunday to try to mock the MidSouth, because I'll probably try to do it again this year. As much as that run course haunts me. It haunts me. People don't understand how hard that course is. That course is insane hard. I mean,
it is.
You've done it. It's insane.
But for me, I've run the Oklahoma City Marathon and I've done the MidSouth.
Okay.
So I don't have a big sample size compared to you. Have a lot of races under your belt, right? So
Right.
And I remember you saying to me "Oh, you've done the MidSouth. You can do a lot of other things."
You
because,
can.
And in my head I'm like, "Oh, it's just the mid.
No.
It's not just the MidSouth, but I don't have the sample size."
That 50K is insane. I cried before this year because I've done it 3 years in a row, the double, and the run course don't change. I mean, it changed a little bit this year, but they didn't take any climb out of it. It's 2,500 feet. So a normal marathon I can do in about 3:16 or so.
Okay.
And so the 50K is just, 5 more miles, so you wouldn't think it would. But that takes me about 4.5. I did it at 4:34 this year and 4:34 last year. How is that possible? The same exact time.
Yeah. So you switched up going cycling first to run first. How was that different? How did that affect your body, and then your body for the bike the second time versus the run the second time?
I think it's better for your body to run Saturday and then bike Sunday, because it's kind of like you're spinning it out, all that lactic acid at it. Whereas Ironman training, you always bike long Saturday, maybe do a short run off the bike, and then run long Sunday.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it's any different on my body. It's all hard on your body.
It's just hard.
Especially running. Running's just hard on your body.
Yeah.
It is. And especially as I get older, I'm just like, it is. It's a lot harder on your body than cycling. But there's something about that feeling of finishing a run that I can't get from finishing a bike. Mm-hmm. No matter how hard I go. I finish a long run and I just feel so just complete. I mean, like you feel after your run today, it just makes you feel that sense of accomplishment. And
it is, it's hard to describe that feeling unless you've had, unless someone listening is, I'm sure there's people listening that have done, even if it's just doing a 5K. I had this conversation with David on a previous podcast because he was track endurance kind of athlete, and we said, there is a hard for everybody, and whatever that hard is, running a marathon or running a 5K, the mental side of it and the hard side of it is all the same. It's just your ability just gets, better or longer. You can endure longer, whatever it is. But in your head, it's still...
It is.
Right? It's still hard to do all that stuff.
Right. In your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's how you can... I can't think of the what I was going to say.
Where does it start for you? When, you mentioned, obviously you've been raising your kids and, athletics, you grew up on a dairy farm, and athletics, was it around as a kid or not at all until later?
Oh yeah, I played basketball and that, but I never got into running until I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of good because I wasn't worn out really, because you can probably wear your body out if you run your whole... Maybe that's why I've had a little bit more, I don't know if you call it success, but
I'd call it success.
Whatever.
You're pretty decorated.
I mean, I'm just dedicated. I'm just really dedicated to the mental side of it and trying to figure out my mind. I think is the biggest part of it. Because there's no better place to try to figure out your own mind and what's going on in there than on a long run. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe a bike might work, but for me, it's for the run.
Yeah.
You probably figured out some stuff today on that. So that part of it is really, because a lot of people, I don't like to feel misunderstood, and I feel like a lot of people misunderstand me because I don't let a lot of people close. So I think a lot of people just looking at me from the outside don't understand the depth of really what goes on in here. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know. Even though I don't get paid to do any of it, it is hard work. Like Saturday, I woke up at 4 o'clock, which, a lot of people have to wake up at 4 o'clock and they don't get to go run. They have to go to work. So I'm not complaining. But, it's hard to get up and go run, that many miles.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just, especially when you're not getting paid or, you don't. Recently, I've been questioning my why a lot because, I'm not really racing right now. Funds are tight, and it's just, so that's hard too. That puts a whole nother part of the discipline comes into it. You have to be double disciplined when you don't have a race, lined up or whatever. I mean, I'm sure I'll do the Route 66 or I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ever since surgery, I haven't been the same, so.
Let's talk about that. I mean, you had major surgery, 3 months ago?
Had the uterus ripped out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a shock too. I didn't even know what my uterus was. I had some big thing growing on it. So, yeah, that was right after the MidSouth. So I did the MidSouth with that thing. And so, yeah, and then I raced after that. 60 days after that, I did the Unbound, just the 100. And, because they're famous for the 200 there. The biggest gravel race, maybe. Mm-hmm. I mean, the MidSouth is the best, but that one's, corporate or whatever, I mean, obviously, MidSouth is grassroots. And so I did that, and then I did another, this Tulsa Tough little race up in Tulsa, but I haven't raced since then. Usually I do this one called Gravel Worlds, and it's next weekend, and it's a run. It's like the MidSouth. They have a run the day before, and then a bike, but theirs is a 50K run and a 150-mile bike.
Oh my gosh. Where is it?
But Lincoln, but they made them take the 50K just this year. They made them take it down to a 25K because it's so dangerously hot.
Yeah.
In August in Lincoln. So I want to go do that one, but you got to pick wisely, You got 2 teenagers in school. Got
to be a mom.
Yeah. You can't, they need stuff or, you can't be selfish about it, And that's another hard thing because I'm like, I don't want to be like this selfish, all into myself endurance person, because you meet a lot of those people too.
Yeah. Diet is everything. They're not social. They do all the things just for themselves. And but again, like you could not get up at 4 a.m. to do your workout. Like you're there.
Yeah.
You're around, you're present, right?
Yeah.
And even though you're not, like I said, social, like you're not social because you don't want to be around people. You're not. It's the opposite when the people are choosing not to be around people because they're training or doing something else, right? I think that there's good and bad reasons for endurance, and there's good and bad eggs in every single sport in the world.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it's hard to, back to what you said, to keep your why.
Yes.
When you don't have a race. For me, I have to have a race.
You
Like
do.
I signed up for Tulsa, so that's why I'm running. I wouldn't have run
excited
today if
for
I
you.
didn't need to.
Yeah.
You know, but I need to because I don't want to get embarrassed out or don't, I have a goal, and so I'm going to work hard to that goal. And then I'll probably take a month off and start MidSouth training.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Kind of roll into that.
So you're definitely doing it again?
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
going to try for the double?
I need to get a bike. I don't have a
Oh,
bike yet.
that would help.
I need to speak nicely to Bobby and see if I can get a bike.
Bobby could probably help you out with
But
finding a good one.
so endurance, you said, starts kind of in your 30s, like a lot of people, right? I
Yeah.
didn't do my first marathon until, and it's a kind of a joke, right? That you don't, when you turn 30, you start mowing your grass differently or
And you're
playing
midlife.
golf or whatever it is, right? You start running marathons.
Yeah.
When then did someone say to you, oh, it's not just marathons, there's more, and there's bikes and everything else?
Right. Oh.
Was it quite soon?
Well, I did the Memorial. That was my first marathon. I qualified for Boston, so that was my...
Your first marathon, you qualified for Boston. Most people's first marathon's like a 5-hour kind of like plod.
Well, I didn't know.
You just kept going.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was good or what was, I was just ignorant. I didn't really run with anyone or any run clubs or any of that stuff. So I didn't know what a good pace per mile even really was. And I saw the pacers there. Red Coyote's good about having the pacers, and I knew what I needed to run for Boston and hoped I could. And so I did, and then I did Boston and just, ran, then started run, and then get hurt, as everybody.
Yeah.
So started...
Natural transition to the bike.
Yep. Yep, and the pool. And
Yeah.
so we might as well start in this Ironman stuff. So I started doing that. And they used to have one here called Redman, which is, I don't like that term. It was, I did it a couple times. It was a good one.
That was at
Full.
at the lake, right?
Yeah, at Lake
Hefner.
Hefner. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
I wish they still had it. Everybody in the world, the triathlon world around here, wishes they still had that.
Other than a terrible name, why did they change? Why did they drop it?
Oh,
Funding, or was it
Probably.
just? Yeah. I mean, it's not easy to close roads and do everything.
yeah, they could have at least kept the half, though. The 70.3, if they didn't have the full. I'm sure
Yeah.
that was...
So that was your first Ironman? First full?
Full, yeah. I don't think I even did any, I didn't do like any halves or anything. I just jumped in and said, let's do a full, and did that. I might have did one.
So that kind of gets your foot in the door.
Yeah.
You get the bug.
Yeah. And then I wanted to do like an Ironman branded. So sunk some money into those.
Which one was the
Boulder
first one?
was the Boulder, and they don't have that one no more. The full, they have the half, and then Cozumel. No, I think Cozumel was next, and then Boulder. I don't know. I did them all over. I was in Utah, Arizona.
You did the local one in Tulsa a couple years ago?
I've done that 70.3 up there. I like that one. That one's a good one. The Tri-OKC, not Tri-OKC, but they're good too. But Tulsa, they have a triathlon club that's puts on really good.
What makes it so much better than some of the others?
I just like that. It's up there near, is it Barnstall?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's up there, and I think it was about 23 or 2,400 foot of climb. I like a hilly bike. And it was a hilly run. I don't know. I had a really good day that day, and I think when you have a really good day, you like that course.
Yeah. See, I mean, you've had success in Tulsa running, obviously, with the Route 66, not just the bike as well. So clearly you like some hills.
I love Tulsa.
I love running around Tulsa.
Yeah, I've done that. They have one called Go Short, Go Long, Go Very Long every January. And this year it was 6 degrees. I ran 31 miles in 6 degrees. And all my nutrition froze. My water bottle, my handheld froze.
Oh, my gosh.
I was purely at their mercy of... It's completely flat. It's 2 loops around the Tulsa... I don't know, you run that river trail, and then you come back and you run and it's by the You go up by Turkey Mountain. That's the only hill really on the course. Oh, it's awesome. I love Tulsa.
Yeah.
I love Oklahoma. I love doing all Oklahoma stuff. I mean, anytime you can sleep in your own bed and go to an event, you know, like the Memorial or even the Route 66.
Yeah.
You can almost sleep in your own. I did last year. I just drove down the morning of. But
with the kind of what you said earlier, you just kind of love like figuring yourself out, and, you know, the mental side of things, and obviously, you know, your profession and your degrees are in, you know, that area as well.
Yeah.
What is it? What is it that, you know, that keeps you going? That mentally you just constantly figuring things out, and you know, you mentioned people see your appearance, they look at you, you know, they see you running, and you're pretty much for the most part in bright colors when you run as well,
yeah.
right? Like you're,
sometimes,
you know, with all you've got bright shades on or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, let's dive into the mental side of things. And how has that helped you help others as well?
It just helps with everything. I think sometimes we all go into like really dark places, like whether something's happened to us. I think a lot of endurance athletes, something bad's happened, or maybe something, heartbreak, whatever. And I think you can use that to kind of fuel. You can either sit at home and cry about it or go out and do something about it, you know? And I look at it as getting up and doing something about it is going for a run or a bike ride or swim or lifting weights or
Didn't you just PR your squat?
Yeah, I did. I did 185.
Yeah.
I was happy for that. But then I was really sore. So I got to figure out that balance.
Yeah.
Like, because I can't do...
That's starting to get popular now. That what they call hybrid athlete is starting to become a term where like there's a lot of like endurance athletes that are now crushing it in the gym as well. And this is a thing now.
Oh,
and there's like a
really?
split training plan.
I need that.
Yeah,
training
I'll
plan.
send you the guy who kind of does a lot of YouTube content around it.
Oh.
But there's a lot of, you know, and they have the split training plan, and you know, you're kind of lifting, but you're also running long on the weekend. Which is very hard to do, especially if you need to nail your nutrition and your sleep, and
yes,
you know, because
it's like I don't have enough hours,
right?
And stretching and everything. It's just like, oh my goodness, this is like the other day I'm like, I need to get a part-time job and help with the
right.
kiddos stuff, because, you know, they got all this football equipment and welding equipment. And I'm just like, I don't know where you fit all this in.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm never the one with the person that works full-time that looks down on them because they don't work out, you know, because it's like they don't probably have time with 3 kids or 2 kids or even 1. It's like, just going to work, so let alone you're going to expect them to fit in, you know, lifting and swimming and biking. But lifting is good. If I recommended one thing for, like, especially a menopausal woman, lift heavy weights 3 times a week and with at least an hour, and throw in, you know, 5-10 minutes of cardio.
Yeah.
And that's, I think especially menopausal women, they really need that for their bones and osteoporosis and just going forward for your health. I mean, if you want to be able to get in the floor with your grandbabies when you're 65 years old, you know, that's important. I don't expect you to, you know, go be a marathoner, but lifting heavy weights is something everyone can do.
Yeah, you can just start with your body weight, right?
Yeah.
Air squats is, you know, it's like most people, I mean, I am sore after I've done 100 air squats. You know, like it's not easy to do, you know, especially if you do it for the first time. You know, and this makes a lot of sense, but I saw this Instagram interview quote thing, and it was like, the more strength you have in your legs, the longer you'll live, because it went back to like mobility, right? It was like, because you can get around, you're mobile, because you can walk and all that stuff. Because I think me and the rest of the world hates leg day. Everybody hates leg day, right? But then I'm like, I should probably at least do legs twice a week now, because I need, you know, I want to walk around. I want to be able to play golf. I want to do all these things. And like I said, pick up grandkids or whoever, you know, when you're, you know, 67, 80 years old.
because it was talking about women and they breaking their femur. And the stronger you keep that, the less likely you are to end up in a nursing home, because 90% of people that end up in nursing homes have broken their legs.
Yeah.
I think I seen something similar. That's cool.
Because it's not easy to recover from a broken femur when you're 65, 70 years old, right?
Yeah, so that's important. That's why I like lifting weights. But there's that, you're sore. Like the next day I could barely run. I felt awful. So...
Was that the first time you've really tried to PR any, or have you kind of kept track of it over every 6 months or something?
I do that, I think.
Yeah.
Almost every week, once a week, I wake up and say, I don't want to do this anymore. And I don't even get paid or anything to do it. And I wake up, Friday morning I woke up and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done doing this. I just want to go get a job and just go to work. I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. Because some people are like, you're so lucky you get to stay home and work out all every day. And I'm like,
if only you knew the pain I put myself through every day.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm grateful. I get to do that. I mean, because, gosh, I love doing it.
Let me see if I don't know if it's still on Instagram, but let me find it. There's a guy I follow who's doing, he's doing his first Ironman today.
Oh.
And
was it the Frankfurt?
Maybe.
Germany?
No, he's in America somewhere.
Oh.
I don't know where he's doing it.
Or is it 70.3 maybe? Louisville?
It's the Louisville one because that's where he's from. And so, James Lawrence, the Iron Cowboy? Uh-huh. Okay, so he's kind of sent this guy a text. So this guy is part of a big company that sponsored James. So the text said, and I read it this morning, and he said James sent him these 3 goals for today. Mm-hmm. And the first one says, smile all day, recognize that many people don't have the opportunity to toe the line of something like this, which is what you said. Are you grateful that you get to do this, which is a great way to look at it. Yes. Because when you're out there running, a full Ironman or just the MidSouth, you're like, I do not want to be here.
No.
But then you're like, there was a guy who ran the MidSouth with a prosthetic a couple of years ago.
He does it every year.
Well, every year, yeah. And I was like, okay. Right. I don't have anything to moan about today.
I know.
Right. The second thing he said, thank your support crew and thank every volunteer and cheer on other athletes. Suffer with joy. Which again, That's back true. To the mental side of things. It's so easy to just be down, and then when you see that, the feeling I get when I see that aid station, even though it's probably 2 miles away and I can hear that music, smiling, food, people, right? But so that was the other thing, and then the last thing he said: cross that finish line, pound your chest, and thank the Lord your abilities and the gift of life, which is just like any endurance thing, right?
Yeah,
like it comes back to it, and like you said, some days you wake up and you're just like, I want to get a 9 to 5 and just do not do nothing, but like go to work. Not do this every day.
Yeah, because it's a lot.
Yeah, but I think at the same time, whenever the time comes that you decide to leave endurance sports, you won't regret anything because you've done a lot, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there.
Thing is huge.
There's a lot of people out there that like they regret it, they miss it because they know they've left something on the table.
Yeah.
You haven't left anything on the table.
Oh, well,
right?
Thank you.
I mean, looking at your record, right? Like
that's nice.
9 Ironmans, you
I know.
graft every single day.
Yeah.
And I know that like whenever that time comes, people aren't going to be like, how's Bonnie doing? Because she's not running every day, you've done with that side of your life whenever it happens.
Yeah. I'll probably try to run though for the rest of my life, even if it's just.
You'll still be
4 or 5 miles.
Yeah, you'll still be active, but you won't be to the level you are now.
Right, it won't be.
But you won't miss it.
No,
I don't think you'll miss it at all.
I don't think so. But the no regrets thing is huge.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, do I want to? I do want to do more Ironmans. It's just they're expensive. Mm-hmm. I would have done a lot of more Ironmans by now, but
I think you should open up your social media, and I think you'd make a lot of money on social media by doing what you do.
You think?
I think so. Yeah, I know it's not easy, and you're going to have to deal with the 10% of evil people out there because that's just what social media is, and maybe it's 20, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Drown out the noise of those because everybody gets it. I get it all the time with whatever it is.
You suck.
But I think with your record, the personality you have, the person that you are, and just like the aesthetic that you have, and how people know who you are, right? in the
that's nice.
endurance world. I mean, I knew who you were.
That's
and I remember you
nice.
running past me and being like, "Oh, I knew," because I think I'd seen you through a photo that maybe Bobby had posted, and and then I think I followed you on Instagram after I saw the picture you posted of you sat at the finish line at MidSouth, and I was like, I get that.
I
get
love that
a lot,
picture.
right?
Oh yeah, that race is so special. It is. But I have this thing where I don't believe in myself. Like I hear you say
It's
those
tough.
things,
Yeah.
and I don't see any of that, like at all.
You just
I'm
turn
like,
commenting off on your posts and just not listen to people that way.
Oh well, that wouldn't bother me.
Yeah.
That wouldn't bother me.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, could I? I don't know.
Would you ever go into coaching? I mean, you kind of coach.
Maybe.
You got a high school kid you're coaching right now.
Yeah, I mean, I work with him. I don't really coach. I mean,
Yeah.
I give him I feel like my most valuable resource coming from me is just experience.
Yeah.
Like just the little things, the teeny 100 million little things I can tell you there's
There's a lot of value in that.
Yeah. So that's what I feel like as far as writing training plans and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm more of, I just kind of play with the endurance. Like, I just want to see what my body can do still.
Because
know
you take
what I
a
mean?
lot of notes, don't you? I remember when we did this the first time that the audio
I brought
was
my
terrible.
notebook.
You have a lot of notes, and you're kind of
Handwritten
very
notes. Yeah.
Yeah, you're very
I've kept my
detailed.
records for ever.
Yeah.
Ever since I started my first marathon training plan. I just write down what I did that day, just real short.
Yeah, it's just journaling, fitness journal, right? Whatever you want to call it.
So, yeah, but
So what is so special to you about the MidSouth?
that was the first race that I went into from doing Ironman, and it was just such a different vibe. Not that Ironman is bad or triathlon training is bad. It's just, it was just so laid back. It's just, we're here to have fun, and everybody's going to have fun and finish. And I never really, but part of that's my fault because I don't get out a lot at all. So I don't see a lot of what's going on, but I get wrapped up in one thing and I just focus on that, and then I ignore everything else. So, but that and just everyone there is just like those people. Like I feel like I could call any of those people down there that I know, and they would be there for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're that kind of people. It's like, I don't know if it's an Oklahoma thing or what it is, but I don't know. It's just, they're just all really, Bobby and Sally and I'm doing a little YouTube thing with them. And now I can't think of his name. Josh.
Yeah, Josh the videographer.
Josh, yes, he's the best.
Yeah.
Josh checked on me after I had surgery. And Bobby and Crystal sent me a package, and Sally sent me some books, and all the MidSouth. There's a whole group down there that just kind of ride and hang out together, and a lot of them, reached out and just asked me how I was doing. And that's the kind of stuff that's, important to me. You really see who your friends are when something bad goes down, and who reaches out or who takes off. So that means a lot. And so, they're really good people.
It's more about racing, right? It's more about, no one cares about your time at MidSouth.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about who you are.
It's community, and I feel like they really see my heart. A lot of people just see this and they don't see what's inside. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like they just get me somehow. I don't know if it's because they're younger people or what, but I just feel like it's so included anytime I go down there. So, and a lot of them, you know, none of them are really into like they don't wear like spandex and stuff. You know,
it's the opposite.
Yeah,
right? Bobby's in
right?
that same shit all the time, hanging out with the jeans or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know, when I would go down there, I would have the spandex on sometimes. But then I was like, oh, this is cool. You don't have to wear spandex to ride a bike.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I ever saw a guy who's riding in sandals. Les. I love Les. He was riding in sandals. And I was like, oh, wow. No, it's just, you will never, ever, I don't care what gravel race you go to on this planet, find a gravel race like this one. Mm-hmm. Ever. I don't know, ever. People are trying to copy them, I think.
Yeah.
But you just won't get it. You can't replace the people, the locals, and the community. And Stillwater's so good. And, you know, because I ain't going to go to a race where the community don't want me there. Because there's a few gravel races that are in really well-off towns, and the community don't even want the people there. And
Yeah.
You know, who wants to go to that? So, yeah. It's a whole different vibe.
Stillwater, MidSouth, special place.
It is.
Right? The whole week is
yes.
super special.
Yes. I even rent a hotel and just stay because, you know, the double, you obviously need to be down there. And so I need to probably reserve that for next year, even though I don't know.
It keeps growing and growing, doesn't it? Like, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger every year. And, you know, you got and when you have the elite cyclists showing up, you know you've kind of done something. You know, Red Bull team showing up, or who are all these teams showing up? The professional riders,
yes.
You know, with like proper support crews are showing up. Like,
definitely.
It is a huge race,
definitely.
But they somehow
women.
managed to keep that, like you said, that community there, because all those professional riders are hanging out with everybody at the end.
They are
just having a beer on the side, you know, just on the patio or whatever. Which
that's what's really
that's
cool.
what's cool, right?
Yeah, the pros will come and kick it with you too. Yeah, I like that too because I know who's who in the pro world of graveling. A lot of the people at MidSouth do not, and they don't care. But I know, I think a lot of them are really nice. All the pros are nice that come. Yeah. That's really cool of them.
When did the Mohawk start? Have you always had it?
The Mohawk.
Did it start as a racing thing?
For 44 years, I had long blonde hair.
Yeah.
And it's really thick. And, well, actually, I'm redheaded.
Okay.
So, and then I was just like, to fit it in a swim hat and a helmet, it would be more comfortable if I just cut some of it off. So I cut it short and then cut it, and then, you know, it went to shaving it underneath. And then I was like, oh, well, this looks kind of cool. And so I just started this, and it's so much more comfortable in the heat.
I'm sure it is.
You know, than that thick ass long hair. Man, that was awful. So, yeah.
Is it quite hard? What's the main? How do we maintain the Mohawk? How many times do we get it colored? Like, do you do it yourself? I mean,
I do.
Okay.
I just shaved the sides, actually.
Yeah.
I shaved them down bare, so they're pretty scary right now. But
and then you dye it on top every now and then, just to top it up.
Yeah, I'll lighten it, the roots, and keep it. Every now and then, I'll go splurge at super cuts or something. Really though, I mean, it's all about saving money for me. All I care about is like running shoes, like getting my bike maintained, and like Cliff Bars and Cliff Blocks, and I mean, not even Cliff, Scratch, whatever.
Yeah.
Because all that stuff just adds up.
That's where I think when you get into the social media, I think if you did open, because your social media is private, I think if you did open it up and you did more content, if you call it, I think that they would start sending you that stuff for free.
See, that would help huge.
I think that's what I'm saying.
Just my food.
Exactly. I think, and you know, a lot of people out there making a lot of money from social media, you know.
Oh, it drives me crazy. There's people on the feed, on their There's this one girl I know on the feeds, like, good team, and she's never done one Ironman.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, because you have this
Like,
category of, once you figure out the content side, because you have the reputation, you have the resume for it, the amount of people that just like reach out to Scratch and like, hey, I've done 9 Ironmans, I'd love your product, like, is there any chance you could send me some and I'll talk about it? And I think you'd be surprised that they send you a giant box,
Really?
I think so, yeah. I think we should figure that out. We should figure that out.
Yeah.
I'm happy to help you with that.
Yeah, because I'm not good at that stuff.
Yeah.
At all.
It's just easy. I mean, you just got to ask, right? It
Yeah.
starts with asking, but
That's true.
the hardest thing is having the resume and doing what you've done. You've done all
Yeah.
that now. Now you just be like, hey, look, I'm doing this. These are the products I use. Love to rep your product. Would you send me any?
Yeah, because I can advertise in a way to where it's not like corny advertising.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're actually out there doing it. You're not just out there like, putting a tripod down and filming yourself cycle
Yeah.
by, and then you're like, I did 30 miles today, or I did 100 miles today. Here's you're
Yeah.
actually going to do it.
Yeah, and I
but-
won't do a product that I don't like.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I won't do
Yeah.
it.
But
Like,
you
if
have-
I don't believe in it, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Like, I don't care how much money it is.
Yeah.
So, that's
Well,
another
you mentioned
thing.
a video product with Josh. What are you doing with Josh for that, for the MidSouth?
He just did some interviews, and I think he's going to put together a little thing.
Okay. He's great.
Josh is good. He's so talented.
Did you see his mum was the DFL and how good is that?
Is
The
it?
party that they threw,
didn't
and it was
even
just
know.
I had no idea until I watched it back. Yeah.
I was like, Josh, you didn't even say anything.
Right, yeah.
Like, there should have been a post made.
Right.
DFL,
Yeah.
your mom. It was
Yeah.
not only just because it was your mom, but because
It's
it
a
was the
huge deal.
DFL
Yeah.
of the 50K. I think I would have liked to seen who DFL'd the 50K.
Yeah.
I did stay and watch it.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it was
that was
late,
part of my
right?
demise on the bike. 'cause
You stayed up late?
Yeah.
Yeah. For people listening that don't know, basically the MidSouth race, the 50-kilometer race on the Friday and the 100 or 50-mile bike race on the Saturday, each night they throw a DFL party, right? And they
Yeah.
keep, so like I said, there is no time cutoffs like there are in Ironman races. There is cutoffs, right?
Right.
So in the MidSouth, they throw a party, and it is a giant party.
Yes.
For whoever is finishing last, and just to, because it takes a lot to keep going like that, especially if you're last and you're slow, and it might be your first race, whatever it is.
Sure.
So that back to the community around the MidSouth.
Exactly.
There's 40, 50 people out there, maybe more. Right? I
For
think
the-
Payson was out there for the bike race, one of the best professional riders who shows up. Like, he was out there, like, it's a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
And it just happens.
The pros come back out
to watch
yeah.
it, right? And so it would just happen to be Josh, who works for MidSouth, on the videography side. It was his mum that showed up.
That is amazing.
So good.
That is amazing that she was able to do that.
Yeah.
That's a hard race.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm excited. I want to do it. I need to get a bike and get into it. But finishing up, because I know we could sit here and talk about running
Yeah.
and endurance forever. But finishing up, you said you may do the Route 66. So that's the next one that's potentially on the horizon for you?
marathon. I love all-out marathons because you just never know.
Yeah.
I mean, it could go really good. The Route 66 last year, I drove up and it's pouring rain, and I just got these brand new Nike Alpha Flies, right? Carbon plated, the freaking sweet, and it's raining. And I'm like, man, what do I do, And my dad had just passed away, so I'm driving his pickup truck. He left it for my kids, and it gets good gas mileage, so I drove it. Anyway, so I get there, and I'm like, Dad, do I wear the shoes or not? And he was just like,
Yeah.
you only live once, wear them. And then I won them. And I was like, yes, oh my gosh.
How did the race go for you? Did you just blast it and you
I
felt
just-
great?
I don't
was it
ever
close?
look at my watch.
Okay.
I never looked at my
And you
watch.
never have music in, you just run.
Oh yeah, I have music.
Okay, you have
oh
music.
yeah.
What music do you listen to?
It don't matter. Everything.
Okay.
Country.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah. Gospel. I'll listen to
Yeah.
anything. Yeah. So, yeah, and it was close. The girl that was second, I think, was under a minute.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Real close.
It was real close.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that'd probably be the highlight of my life, winning that, And it's not the fastest. I mean, gosh dang. Not at all. But that's a tough course, too. It's not an easy route.
Did you know the whole time you were in first?
No.
No, you had no idea until like you're like 100 meters from the finish line. There's a banner around. You're like, wait a second.
No, the motorcycle police busted a U in front of me, and I was like, because it's kind of, I'm like, what in the, and then I'm like, oh, I think they're to lead me in, but that was like 10K out, and there's this girl behind me, and I'm like, I gotta hold this girl off for 6.2 miles. And that was probably the hardest because the last half of that course is pretty up. Mm-hmm. But the good thing about that is hills coming from running the MidSouth. Yeah. So those hills there, I mean, still it's just different. Roads so different than so it worked out, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. That'd probably be like the highlight ever of my life. So
when did you realize running that race that you were like you said, you noticed 10K out that you might have been in first, but like when was it like a real reality that you're like, oh, I'm in, I gotta like, or was it
at 3 miles I was like, I gotta hold this, I might not ever get this chance again in my life. I don't care how bad it hurts. At this, I will probably never get this chance again. So
what do you focus on when you're in that level of like, hang on a second, I have to give everything I have? Like, is there something specific? Like for me, for example, I count in my head. I count to 2. I with my paces, I go 1, 2, 1, 2 to keep me on pace, to keep me running. Yeah, to keep my steps, just to get me to focus on something that isn't like this hurts, it's painful. I just simple like right foot 1, left foot 2, like just 1, 2, 1, 2.
Really?
Yeah, to keep my stride.
That's interesting to me.
Yeah,
I think about just stuff going on in my life.
Just stuff you're grateful for, just anything going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And at that time, there was someone really special to me. So that helped. That really helps. So, but, yeah. I think that's why I won that marathon.
What a great way to honor your dad, too.
Because of someone I had in my mind.
Yeah. Awesome.
Someone that was supporting me. That made me feel really good. So... yeah, and my dad, and it's Tulsa. I just,
everything came together.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Brilliant.
It still hurt though.
It always hurts. Did you see the end of the was it the triathlon at the Olympics this year? Oh, all the like endurance. I think it might one of the big endurance races. Oh, everyone. There's like 5, 6, 7 guys as soon as they cross the finish line. They're just like there's just this clip and it's live and they're all just like bent over, like hurling everywhere. And the cameraman's like, I don't know what to pan to because everyone's throwing up right now. But it is what it is. And then there's the clip I love, and it gets replayed all the time. Is the clip from the Brownlee brothers from the UK.
Oh, where he holds him?
Yeah, he carried because he's done, isn't he? He can barely walk.
He's delirious.
He's fully out of it, dehydrated, nothing left in the tank, and his brother just like sacrifices his race to just like get him a medal.
Yeah,
that's awesome. But
that makes me think. Yeah,
that's the endurance world, though, isn't it? Right?
Yeah,
it's not like, and obviously family and brotherly love too.
Yeah,
but yeah. Well, cool. Again, we could be here forever, so I really appreciate you coming back to record this one.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I will put your Instagram link in the description so people can come follow you, and let's get you some free merch so you can food and people can do that. We'll figure that out because I know that would be a huge help. But Bonnie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Crushing it. Love your the way that you look at life and the enthusiasm that you have to get up every morning and do hard things. And I think it's something that is a great example to everyone that watches you and everyone that follows you. And whether it's your kids that see it every day or just someone that, you might not have even met that follows you on Instagram that draws strength from you. Like someone I'm sure is out there feels that way. So
I hope so.
I hopefully will see you in Tulsa running the marathon. If not, I will definitely see you in MidSouth.
Yeah.
And for people listening, we will catch you next episode. Cheers. Hope you guys enjoyed that great episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, sharing Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at oklahomahof. Our other sponsor, the Chickasaw Nation, amazing sponsor. They do amazing things for the state and they're always sponsoring something in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and without their support we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my 2 pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my 2 golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. And the one thing that I do with the sponsors that I have is stuff that I use and recommend, like the Diffies with my car, Hall of Fame. They're awesome. Citizens Banks, where I bank. Chickasaw Nation, huge supporter of Oklahoma. And adding to that is the Doghouse. And so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too. But I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC. And hopefully our pups will run into each other. This episode is brought to you by the Oklahoma State Treasurer Unclaimed Property Division. Oklahoma has more than $1 billion of unclaimed property. Reclaim what's rightfully yours. Visit YourMoney.ok.gov and enter your name to find out if you have lost money from utility deposits, uncashed checks, life insurance policies, or more. If you've got a minute, search for free and visit YourMoney.ok.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.